It's January 1990, you run to your mailbox and you find this issue of Nintendo Power featuring Batman on the cover. And if you were to turn to page 48, these would be the top 30 games according to Nintendo Power. In at number 30, we have The Guardian Legend.
In at number 30 is The Guardian Legend from Broderbund Software, and I know Broderbund from my time on the Commodore 64 with Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, but I also had an NES presence. And this game is really interesting, and I want to apologize for not getting, kind of half of the gameplay recorded here, because the game's a hybrid. It's equal parts a shoot-'em-up, a vertical shooter, and a top-down kind of isometric view where you're moving a character around the screen and firing at enemies that are on there, kind of like Blaster Master. It's a really interesting game. Not necessarily something that I'm probably ever going to play again, but I thought it was pretty solid. This is a really interesting title.
At 29, we have Metal Gear.
In at number 29 is a game that started a massive franchise and something that is still influential to this day, and brought us Kojima Productions, and that is Metal Gear. This is the first entry in the long-standing series where you get to play as Solid Snake, and your job is to do something. I don't know. I'm really terrible at the first Metal Gear game. I played this when I was a kid, and this is actually the first time I've played it since then. And I don't know. This game just frustrates me. And that's not to say it's a bad game, because clearly it's not. This is an incredibly popular title. It's just one that doesn't connect with me. And if you love it, I think that's kind of awesome.
At 28, NFL Football.
In at number 28 is here just because of the license, because, ooh, this game's bad. This is NFL Football, and this is so bad, so terrible, so choppy, and just so poorly performing. Like, this is ugly. This is not a good game.
27, we have the classic run-and gun Contra.
Number 27 brings us a classic Konami game, and one that I kind of fell out of love with, but I will say over the last year I've kind of fallen back in love with, and that's Contra. Once I got the Contra collection on the Switch, I started playing this game a lot more, and I'm really enjoying it again. I am not good at it. It's something I have a very difficult time with. I need the Konami code in order to beat it, like I would say probably 90% of my viewers, but it's a really fun run-and-gun shooter. This is a classic, wonderful kickoff to a franchise, and just a picture-perfect version of an arcade game on the NES.
At number 26, one of my favorite hockey games on the NES, Blades of Steel.
Number 26 is my favorite hockey game on the NES, and no, it's not ice hockey, which is right up there. I love ice hockey from Nintendo, but for me, the top gun is Blades of Steel. It's such a fantastic game. It blew my mind as a kid that there was a digitized voice in this thing. Like, even though looking at it now, I can't really understand what the guy's saying, and it's kind of a terrible voice to put in the game, it was still there, and I loved the music in the game as well. I thought the gameplay was super solid, the graphics were big, the sprites were awesome, the fighting was fun, and it's just a really wonderful hockey game. And this is one of those cases where a video game ignited my love of a sport in real life, and this is one of the main reasons that I love hockey as much as I do to this day.
Number 25, one of the single greatest sports games ever released in the 8-bit generation, that is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!
Number 25 brings us the fantastic Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! From Nintendo, the original great boxing game on the NES, and there were a bunch of them on there, but this one stands head and shoulders above them all. You get to play as Little Mac, you go through a memorable line of characters and opponents that you have to fight in order to get to the big boss himself, Tyson. And yeah, if you have beaten Mike Tyson, stand up, give yourself a round of applause, because it's something I have never done.
Number 24, the beat-em-up that started an entire genre, Double Dragon.
Number 24 brings us Double Dragon, one of the original beat-em-ups, one of the first ones I ever played, and I want to tell you that I love this game, and I just don't. The first Double Dragon is just not something I get into. I think it's a little clunky, it's a little unforgiving. I didn't really fall in love with this franchise until Double Dragon 2, but still, it's a game that launched a franchise and launched the popularity of beat-em-ups, at least on the NES, and that's something that I can never say thank you enough for.
Number 23, Ghostbusters.
Number 23 brings us Ghostbusters, and this is yet more proof that a license will sell a video game without anyone having ever played it. Because I am now 43 years old, I haven't played this since I was probably 9, and I still have no idea what to do in this game. This game just utterly perplexes me.
Number 22, showing up on the list to show off the movie's popularity, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Number 22 has a game here from LJN, and you know what that means. Yup. This is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, one of my all-time favorite films, and this was a game I wanted to get as a kid, but I've never played it until today, and I'm here to tell you, dodged a bullet.
Number 21, one of my favorite games from the NES, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest.
Number 21 is what I would say was my favorite Castlevania game for years, and that is Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. This was a massive quest, a huge adventure through the world of Transylvania to try to find Dracula's castle to eliminate the curse of Dracula, and I just loved it. I still enjoy it to this day. If I'm being honest, it's not my favorite anymore. It's something that's fallen way back because of the inherent flaws in the design of the game. And I think it was really ambitious of Konami to try something different after a tried and true formula with the first game.
Number 20, the debuting of Samus Aran in Metroid.
Number 20 is a first-party title from Nintendo, and it's one that launched an entire franchise, something that is still going strong today, and that is Metroid. This introduces us to Samus Aran, this introduces us to the planet Zebes, to Mother Brain, to Ridley, to Kraid, and it's just a massive, sprawling adventure through a huge world. I've never beaten this game. I haven't actually even played it all that often, but it's something that I look at and I appreciate for what it is. It's a little rough around the edges by today's standards, but the game itself is pretty remarkable.
Number 19, one of the best action platformers ever released, Batman.
Number 19 is our cover story, and that is Batman. Now, I have told you numerous times how much I love this game, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this might be my favorite non-Mario and non-Mega Man action platformer on the entire NES. I think it is that good of a game.
Number 18, the original Adventures of the Blue Bomber with Mega Man.
Number 18 brings us the first entry in the incredible Mega Man series from Capcom. Now, this is one I only played a couple of times when I was a kid. I never owned this one. The first one I owned was Mega Man 2. I had actually rented this after I played Mega Man 2 for the first time, so it wasn't something I had ever beaten until I was in my mid-20s on the Mega Man Anniversary Collection on the GameCube, and it's just such a wonderful game.
Number 17, RoboCop.
Number 17 brings us another licensed game, and that is RoboCop. And this isn't one I had ever played before today. I played this for the first time as I'm recording this footage, and it's alright. I mean, it's nothing I'm ever going to play again. It's nothing to write home about. It doesn't do anything terribly impressive, but it plays pretty well. And it plays like what you would think a RoboCop game on the NES would play like.
Number 16, are you bad enough? Bad Dudes.
Number 16 asks one serious question. Are you a bad enough dude to save the president? This is another classic beat 'em up, and this one I don't love. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never been a huge Bad Dudes fan. I think it's an okay game. It's something that I'm willing to pump quarters into at an arcade, but I don't know. Home port versions of it just never did anything for me, so if you dig it, awesome. I'm so happy that you do. I think that's really cool. I love that you love this game, but for me, just doesn't connect.
Number 15, one of my favorites, and I actually think it's better than the arcade version. The NES version of Strider.
All right, so number 15 is Strider, and this is a game that I loved as a kid, and playing it now, this is the first time I played it in years, and I'm just so over the moon for this game. Now, I know it doesn't play anything like the arcade version. I know it doesn't play anything like the Genesis version, but to me, this is what Strider is this NES version of it. I poured hours upon hours upon hours into this game as a kid, and beating it was one of my favorite NES accomplishments. I adore Strider.
Number 14, a game that caused me endless frustration as a child, Marble Madness.
Number 14 brings us Marble Madness, and oh boy, I want to tell you that I adore Marble Madness, and it's something that I was so excited to fall back in love with as I went through this list and pick it up and play it again, and nope.
Number 13, surprise, this is not in the top 10, Super Mario Bros. 3.
Number 13 is so weird to not see in the top 5, and that's Super Mario Bros. 3. Like, the fact that this is out of the top 10 is almost alien to me. Like, I can't conceive of the fact that this isn't top of the charts. I love Mario 3. Everyone loves Mario 3. Like, saying I love Mario 3 is like saying I love breathing. Oh man, it's so weird that it's this low on the countdown.
Number 12, and this does my heart well seeing this on here because I love this series, but number 12 is Nobunaga's Ambition.
Number 12 brings us Nobunaga's Ambition, and this is a game I remember playing as a kid and being fairly confused by it, but I can see why, because it's a very, very detailed and deep strategy game that it took me until I was in my mid-40s now to be able to figure out what the hell to do. It's a lot like Risk. I didn't play Risk that much when I was 8 and 9 years old. I didn't really get into it till I was a teenager, so it was something that I think if I had picked up when I was 13 or 14, I probably would have really loved this game.
Number 11, showing just how popular sports games really were on the NES, we have TECMO Bowl.
Number 11 brings us one of the finest sports games on the NES, and that is TECMO Bowl. This is everything that NFL football wishes it was, because this game is good. This game is competent. This game controls well, it animates well, it sounds good, and it looks good. Everything that NFL football is not.
Number 10, one of my favorites, Blaster Master.
Number 10 is one I've talked about a lot in the past as well, and that is Blaster Master, and I'm not going to waste a lot of time on it, just like I didn't waste a lot of time on Batman, but I will tell you that Blaster Master is a fantastic hybrid game, both a side-scrolling platformer as well as a top-down isometric shooter, and it has one of the best soundtracks on the NES.
Number 9, a classic action RPG in FAXANADU.
Number 9 brings us FAXANADU, and this game's amazing. If you like good side-scrolling platformer RPG action games, it wears a lot of hats. This game's excellent. I love FAXANADU. It's something that I used to rent regularly as a kid, and it was something that was like one of my white whales to get on the NES when I started collecting retro stuff again, and I am so happy that I picked it up last year at the Power Up Con in South Bend.
Number 8, BIONIC Commando.
Number 8 brings us the fantastic BIONIC Commando. Now, quick show of hands, who out there pretended to have one of those grappling hook arms? I know I did. That was something I desperately wanted, man. I wanted to do that on the monkey bars. I wanted to have the grappling arm to be able to swing around and use that. Like, I loved BIONIC Commando. BIONIC Commando changed the way I played outside. Like, that's how good of a game it was. It changed my real life. It affected my imagination. It's that good of a game.
Number 7, the original Legend of Zelda.
Number 7 brings us the granddaddy of them all, the number 1, the intro to one of the most epic franchises ever in the history of video games, The Legend of Zelda. This is one of the all-time greats. This is one of the pillars that the industry stands on. It holds up 35 years later. It's that good of a game.
Number 6, my personal favorite, Mega Man 2.
Number 6 brings my all-time favorite NES game, and that is Mega Man 2. Another game I have talked about incessantly on the channel, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but I will tell you that this has my favorite soundtrack on the NES, one of my favorite final boss segments of Dr. Wily's Castle, and my favorite Robot Masters from the Mega Man series. I think this is the perfect Mega Man game.
Number 5, a fantastic start to the series of Dragon Quest, we have Dragon Warrior.
Number 5 brings a free game from Nintendo Power, and that is Dragon Warrior. I'd never heard of this game till it just showed up in the mail one day from Nintendo, and I was very imaginative when I was a child, so when I got a game from Nintendo, I was convinced that they were sending it just to me, and not to like every subscriber out there, so I was convinced that Nintendo had picked me out of the thousands of subscribers that they had to send me this free game, and I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. I love Dragon Warrior. It's a very rough around the edges game today. Like, it is very clunky, but there's so much world building and lore that has started to be laid down by this game that is used in future iterations of Dragon Quest that it's worth checking out.
Number 4, the original Ninja Gaiden.
Number 4 is Ninja Gaiden, and this game is so good. It's something that gives a consistent challenge throughout. Like, this isn't like an escalating level of difficulty as you go, where things all of a sudden like wildly ramp up. No, it's just tough all the way through. It's gonna take your lunch money and laugh at you. I want to say that I've beaten this game. I never have. I'm so bad at it. I actually made it further in this playthrough than I think I ever have in my life. I might have gotten further as a kid, but I got farther than I can remember in this playthrough. And that's kind of embarrassing. But even with that, I still love this game. It's absolutely fantastic.
And are you ready for the top 3? I don't think it's going to be the games you think it is. In at number 3, Super Mario Bros. 2.
Number 3 is another game I've talked about ad nauseum on the channel before, and that is Super Mario Bros. 2. As viewers of the channel know, this is the first game I ever purchased with my own money, and I love it. I love everything about this game, and I love that it took a chance and it tried something new. And yeah, of course, it was Doki Doki Panic, so it didn't try anything super new, but it still had a lasting impact on subsequent Mario games. Like, Peach can float, Luigi has the spaghetti legs, Toad is small and fast, Mario is average all the way around. It had a lasting impact on the franchise, and it's something I adore. Like, I still love going back and playing Super Mario Bros. 2 because I think it's just such a solid game.
Number 2, Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link.
Number 2 brings us Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, and a lot of people really don't like this game, and a lot of people really love this game, and I tend to find myself more on the really love it side, because I think this game was really ambitious, kind of like Castlevania 2 was. It tried a lot of really new things, and it took a chance with a franchise that I think it would have been really easy for Nintendo to rest on their laurels and not try anything new, and instead they just threw caution to the wind and gave us a side-scrolling platforming Zelda, and I think it works. There's definitely some stuff in the game that's a little bit weak and doesn't really hold up to this day, but I remember playing this as a kid and just being absolutely blown away by the entire thing.
So if it's early 1990, think about pop culture at the time. What game do you think is number 1? I don't think it's what you're thinking of, because it is the original NES version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Inconceivable!
In at number 1 is the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, and boy, everyone knows how I feel about this game. Like, I don't think it's nearly as bad as I remember it being as a kid, and that might just be because I'm better at games now than I was when I was younger, but I don't know, like, I just don't think that this is a terribly fun game. Like, I don't know, I don't know, I think there's good stuff in the game, but overall, it's just not a game for me. Like, I've said my piece on this in the past. I think it's definitely a product of its time. and I think it could have been a lot better than what we actually got.
There you have it, my friends. The top 30 games for January, February 1990, according to Nintendo Power. What do you think? What was your favorite game of the ones listed? Let me know in the comments. Thank you to my patrons you're seeing on screen right now. And if you dig this, check out this playlist up here where I'm using magazines and comics to look at advertisements and games featured in those issues. Remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.